Hello and welcome to episode 5. In this episode, we're going to walk you through the pilot design phase. We're going to go through a series of steps to design your very own EBSI pilot. You'll be able to use the outputs of this episode to explain to your stakeholders how your pilot is going to work and get them really motivated to take part in your project. So if you work along with me, at the end of this episode, you're going to have defined who your stakeholders are and how they're going to benefit from the pilot. You'll have worked out what features your solution is going to need based on the needs of your stakeholders. And you'll have learned about the prerequisites you'll need to address before you can move on to the next steps. And finally, you'll have defined the EBSI APIs that you're going to need to use to make it all happen. So if that sounds good to you, let's get started by defining who your stakeholders are. First, note down who your end user is and who your stakeholders are. In our example, our end user is Ava. Now, she's just got a bachelor's degree from a university in Belgium and wants to take a master's at a university in Spain. So let's take a moment to think about the high-level process. Ava is going to open her EBSI wallet and send a request to the Belgian university for the verifiable credential of her bachelor's degree. Second, based on Ava's request, the Belgian university will verify the request and issue the verifiable credentials to Ava's EBSI wallet. Third, when Ava applies to the Spanish university, they will request access to the verifiable credential of her bachelor's degree and issue her with a university record number to her EBSI wallet. Okay, so that gives us an idea of the high-level process. Let's talk benefits for a moment. What are the benefits for each stakeholder? So when you start this exercise, think about typical categories of benefits, like simplifying administrative processes or enhancing trust. Let's start with Ava. She's going to have more control and security over her educational credentials and will have them available through her digital wallet at any time. Another benefit is legitimacy. This is great for the Belgian university because it means less fraud. People cannot claim to have a degree from their universities as it can be easily checked. In our example, it will be checked by the Spanish university, who also benefits as they can streamline their verification procedure, reducing administration and speeding up their processes. So it seems like everyone is going to benefit. So next, let's look at the features we're going to need to make this pilot a reality. If we look at the process again, it looks like we're going to need 4 key features. Ava is going to need to request the educational credential of her bachelor's degree. The Belgian university is going to issue her educational credential. Ava is going to need to store her educational credential in her EBSI wallet. And the Spanish university is going to need to access Ava's educational credential, or also known as the verifiable presentation. Sounds easy, right? Well, now we know the features we're going to need, we can model the process in more detail. Now, this might take some time, but it's going to give you a really thorough understanding of how the solution is going to work. And this map is going to be a great way to get your stakeholders on board. Let's keep going so I can show you how the template works. We're going to focus on the first feature, Ava requesting her educational credential. Of course, there are some prerequisites to this step. Ava needs to have the wallet app. She needs to have a DID or decentralized ID. She needs to have a verifiable ID in her wallet app. Ava actually needs to ask the Belgian government to sign her DID to attest her ownership of it, meaning the link between the DID and herself. Then Ava and the university in Belgium will follow a relatively simple process. Ava will first authenticate to the university in Belgium, and that Belgian university will request Ava's verifiable ID and send the verifiable presentation request to Ava's wallet. Ava will then validate the verifiable presentation request from her wallet, and she will create her verifiable presentation containing her verifiable ID. She's then going to sign her verifiable presentation and send that verifiable presentation to the university in Belgium. If you map out these steps for each stakeholder in your process and for each feature you've identified, the result is going to be really valuable. Before you move forward, take a moment to think about any other prerequisites that are specific to your project. These often include items like establishing the regulatory acceptance environment, or getting legal approval, or onboarding your ecosystem of stakeholders to your project. Last but not least, you're going to need to identify which EBSI APIs you're going to need to connect to. We have documented all of them on our website. You can find a link below. So walk through the steps and list all the relevant APIs you're going to need to connect to. Okay, so in conclusion, you now have a beautiful map listing all your stakeholders, prerequisites, features, steps of your scenario, and the EBSI APIs you're going to need. This is a fantastic asset to communicate with all your stakeholders and a solid foundation for moving on to the next stage, planning and road mapping your pilot implementation. When you're ready, I will see you on the next video.